Princess Catherine, Kate, was the future queen, a great, great woman. She has embodied the spirit of dignity, duty, and patriotism that beats proudly in every British heart. Melania and I are delighted to visit again with Prince William and to see Her Royal Highness, Princess Catherine, so radiant and so healthy, so beautiful. It's really a great honor. Thank you.
The spotlight is back on Windsor Castle, and this night had the internet in absolute chaos. The mix of royal tradition and global politics lit up like never before, leaving everyone talking non-stop. Imagine the glittering chandeliers casting light over centuries of history, the grand banquet halls filled with power, prestige, and whispered secrets, all for one guest, President Donald Trump, making his highly watched second visit to the United Kingdom. But let's be real, it wasn't just the usual handshakes or stiff speeches that grabbed attention. Out of nowhere, Trump stepped into the spotlight and gave Catherine, the Princess of Wales, a deep bow that looked like it was pulled straight from a royal fairy tale. And then came the bombshell moment. In his speech, he didn't hold back, calling Catherine the future queen, right there in front of Queen Camilla, King Charles, and the entire royal family. The cameras caught it all. Trump's bold praise, Catherine's poised reaction, and King Charles visibly swelling with pride as the room buzzed with tension and excitement. A night that could have been another routine diplomatic dinner instantly transformed into a headline-making spectacle, blending politics, royalty, and drama in one unforgettable scene. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more royal drama and behind-the-scenes power plays. Now, let's rewind and uncover how this jaw-dropping night even came to life. The build-up wasn't some last-minute arrangement. This state visit had been brewing for months, with whispers spreading through both Washington and London. Trump's thunderous comeback in the 2024 election put him right back in the White House, just as the world was still untangling post-pandemic alliances and navigating a storm of shifting global power. With the pressure mounting, the UK rolled out the red carpet, extending a rare invitation for a full state visit, the first one for Trump since 2018. That earlier trip to Windsor had been unforgettable on its own. Back then, Trump was seen with Queen Elizabeth II, and witnesses swear he looked completely mesmerized by the pomp, the pageantry, and the centuries of royal spectacle. Sources still recall how he would gush over his lifelong admiration for the monarchy, tracing it back to his Scottish-born mother, Mary, who held a deep devotion to the royal family herself. Now it's 2025, and the stakes aren't just high, they're explosive. Every move carries weight, every word is dissected, and the drama surrounding Trump's return to Windsor feels bigger than ever. Make sure you're subscribed for more shocking takes on how the monarchy keeps reshaping its power on the world stage. Now, let's rewind and set the scene for how this extraordinary night was even possible. This wasn't some casual dinner. The build-up had been brewing for months with quiet negotiations and heavy anticipation on both sides of the Atlantic. After Trump's sweeping 2024 election win catapulted him back into the White House, the timing couldn't have been more dramatic. The world was still adjusting to fragile post-pandemic alliances and unpredictable shifts in global politics. And right in the middle of it, the UK made its bold move, extending a full state visit, Trump's first since 2018. That earlier trip had already made headlines. Trump's face lit up when he met Queen Elizabeth II at Windsor, as if he was dazzled by the pageantry that surrounded her. Palace insiders still whisper about how Trump, always a showman, couldn't stop sharing his admiration for the royals, an obsession shaped by his Scottish-born mother, Mary, whose loyalty to the crown ran deep. Fast forward to 2025, and suddenly the stakes are towering over everything. Every gesture, every word, every glance is magnified, and the drama is only getting louder. By his third year on the throne, King Charles III was determined to tighten the special relationship between the US and UK, with heavy talks looming over trade, security, and cutting-edge technology. Catherine, stepping back into the spotlight after her health struggles, carried herself with striking elegance, symbolising the monarchy's fresh new image. Meanwhile, William balanced his family duties with an increasingly serious leadership role that many say positions him as the steady backbone of the royal future. But behind the glitter, the whispers started swirling. Diplomats claimed Trump was especially eager to reconnect with the Waleses, a couple he had praised in past interviews as the epitome of modern royalty. Still, nobody could have guessed just how much personal flair he'd bring to Windsor, shaking up stiff royal protocol with grand gestures that screamed respect and alliance in his own dramatic style. The anticipation reached a fever pitch on September 17th, as the presidential helicopter roared into Windsor. Outside the castle walls, protests rumbled through the London streets, a sharp reminder of the divided opinions over Trump's return. Yet, once inside the castle grounds, unity was the only message on display. King Charles and Queen Camilla rolled out the full spectacle, greeting the Trumps with military precision, a booming 21-gun salute and a dazzling flypast, streaking the sky in red, white, and blue. Melania Trump stunned in a custom gown, matching Camilla's understated elegance perfectly. But in the end, the moment belonged to William and Catherine, and when they entered, the entire atmosphere shifted instantly. Catherine stepped into the room like pure royalty, radiant in a maroon Amelia Wickstead coat dress that screamed quiet confidence and strength. Trump, never one to stick to a script, wasted no time with stiff formalities, moving in fast with warm greetings that instantly grabbed attention. But what came next became the defining moment of the entire night. In a move no one saw coming, Trump bowed before Catherine, a gesture so rare for a sitting president that the whole room seemed to pause in shock. It wasn't just respect, it was recognition, a clear nod to her status as the future queen consort. This was way more than a polite formality. It was a bold visual cue of the power dynamics in play, spotlighting Catherine's undeniable place in the royal line of succession. And if you trace it back, this wasn't out of nowhere. Trump's fascination with the British royals runs deep, shaping both his public image and private life for decades. Raised by his Scottish-born mother Mary, who idolised the Windsors, young Donald grew up on tales of royal grandeur, duty, and tradition. Those stories etched themselves into his worldview, and by the 1980s, as he rose in the real estate game, he was already name-dropping royals in interviews, bragging about his admiration and even hinting at dreams of hosting them at his lavish properties. Fast forward to his presidency, and that lifelong fascination finally turned into real-life encounters. In 2018, during his very first state visit, Trump toured Windsor Castle side by side with Queen Elizabeth II, laughing over tea and even surprising her with a custom golf club set fit for royalty. Later, he described that moment as one of the proudest highlights of his presidency, calling the late Queen one of the greatest women in history. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Behind closed doors, Trump's admiration seemed to shift toward the next generation. In private off-the-record chats with aides, he reportedly praised Catherine for her calm, poise, and grace, a sharp contrast, in his view, to the more turbulent stories that surrounded other royals. His fascination clearly wasn't just personal, it carried weight with a bigger agenda. Trump has always branded himself as a disruptor of traditional elites, the outsider shaking up the system. Yet when it comes to the monarchy, he sees something different, a timeless symbol of strength, stability, and unmatched spectacle that even he can't resist. And according to sources close to the White House, when the 2025 visit was being mapped out, Trump didn't just approve Catherine and William's inclusion. He insisted they be featured front and centre, believing the Waleses represent the true bridge into the monarchy's future. William's military background and outspoken push for environmental causes gave him common ground with Trump's own hard-nosed deal-making style. Meanwhile, Catherine's global pull as both a fashion icon and a hands-on philanthropist made her the natural star of the evening, the one everyone wanted to see. Insiders leaked that pre-visit briefings drilled Trump on royal protocol, with aides making sure he practiced every greeting carefully, determined to avoid another slip-up like his 2018 walkabout that had left Queen Elizabeth just a touch unimpressed. But that dramatic bow to Catherine, that was pure strategy, a calculated masterstroke mixing American boldness with British deference. It drew whispers of past presidential gestures, like Reagan's polite bows during his 1982 visit, but Trump's move felt different, sharper, more personal, as if designed to highlight Catherine's unstoppable rise within the royal hierarchy. As the royal party and the Trumps advanced into the glittering state apartments, the air itself seemed charged, heavy with unspoken alliances and subtle rivalries colliding under the chandeliers. And when the banquet began, it was nothing short of a royal spectacle, tables groaning under British classics like perfectly roasted beef and rich Dover sole, all paired with rare vintages pulled straight from the royal cellars. Every detail, right down to the seating chart, was obsessively planned. Nothing left to chance on this high-stakes night. Trump's seat said it all, placed directly to the right of King Charles, with Catherine right beside him, a position that screamed importance and elevated her presence in front of the entire world. Queen Camilla, ever the polished hostess, kept things smooth by chatting with Melania about charitable causes, while William locked into serious talks on trade with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. But when the toasts began, every eye shifted to Trump. Rising with that trademark flair of his, he gripped the room in seconds, his words blending diplomacy with surprising warmth, making it feel less like a banquet speech and more like a dramatic coronation-style endorsement of Catherine's future. But let's rewind, because the real fireworks started before the first glass was even raised. As the sun set over Windsor Great Park, the presidential motorcade rolled in against a sea of waving Union Jacks and stars and stripes. King Charles stood tall in full military regalia, Queen Camilla poised by his side, their smiles picture perfect, even though the whole scene was tightly choreographed down to the last second. Then came Trump, stepping out in a sharp tuxedo, flashing confidence with every move. He clasped King Charles's hand firmly, trading words about their mutual love of golf and the supposed strength of the US-UK bond. But the energy shifted the instant William and Catherine appeared. The prince looked striking in black tie, extending a handshake, while Catherine's graceful curtsy and dazzling smile seemed to light up the entire quadrangle. And then, the moment that stunned even the most seasoned protocol watchers. Trump bent forward in a deliberate bow toward Catherine, lowering his head and upper body in a gesture few expected from an American president. Gasps spread through the rows of dignitaries and press, whispers hissing through the crowd as cameras snapped furiously to capture the unprecedented moment. Was that ball carefully rehearsed, or just one of Trump's instinctive flourishes that he's famous for pulling out of nowhere? Royal commentators couldn't agree. Some later argued it was a subtle nod to age-old tradition where foreign leaders sometimes bow as a symbolic show of alliance, especially toward those destined for the throne. Catherine, composed and flawless as ever, responded with nothing more than a gracious nod, her eyes locking with Trump's in a quiet exchange that spoke volumes without a single word. This wasn't just about courtesy, it was a striking symbol of transatlantic respect, spotlighting her role as the woman destined to stand beside the king one day. As the royal procession moved deeper into the castle halls, lined with guards in scarlet tunics, the atmosphere buzzed with speculation, tension, and awe all at once. And then came the explosion online. Social media lit up instantly. Hashtags like Trump bows to Kate shot to the top worldwide within minutes, flooding feeds with commentary, memes, and endless rewinds of the moment. Meanwhile, inside Windsor's dazzling dining hall, the power on display was undeniable. Long tables gleamed like mirrors, crystal glasses sparkling in the candlelight, and floral centerpieces blooming with the feel of lush English gardens. William and Catherine embodied royal perfection in white tie, but it was Catherine who stole every ounce of attention. She radiated in a couture masterpiece by British designer Philippa Lepley, a silk crepe gown layered with a breathtaking full-length evening coat of hand-embroidered gold chantilly lace. Completing the look, she crowned herself with a shimmering royal headpiece that sealed her as the undeniable star of the night. Catherine dazzled in Queen Mary's lover's knot tiara, the glittering centerpiece of her regal look. Sitting right beside her, President Trump leaned in with casual confidence, reportedly complimenting her gown before steering the talk toward her family's latest activities. With her signature grace, Catherine answered warmly, even turning the spotlight back on him by asking about his grandchildren, her effortless charm dissolving any trace of stiffness at the table. At the head, King Charles kept a watchful eye, his pride showing in the subtle tilt of his head as he observed the exchange. Across the glittering table, Queen Camilla chatted animatedly with Melania, though her sharp glances toward Catherine revealed more than words, a silent acknowledgement of just how central the Princess of Wales had become in this spectacle. Even the menu spoke volumes, every dish sourced straight from royal estates, Venison from Windsor's Great Park served as a quiet reminder of the monarchy's centuries-old ties to the land. But soon, dessert was swept away, and the moment the world had been waiting for arrived. Trump stood, glass in hand, his presence pulling the entire room into silence. At first, his tone carried the usual diplomatic notes, praising the special relationship, thanking King Charles for the lavish welcome. But then came the pivot. Turning toward Catherine, his voice echoing against the historic stone walls, he delivered words that would ripple far beyond Windsor Castle itself. The clinking glasses faded to nothing as Trump's booming speech filled the hall. He started with familiar history, honoring the wartime alliance and nodding to modern challenges like cybersecurity and climate battles. But the buildup made it clear something far more personal was coming. King Charles nodded appreciatively, his eyes reflecting a shared commitment to global stability. But as Trump pivoted to the royal family, the atmosphere shifted. Suddenly more personal, almost reverent. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to be back in this magnificent place," he said, gesturing toward the centuries-old tapestries and gilded portraits surrounding them. Then his gaze settled on Catherine. To see Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, so radiant, so healthy, and so beautiful. But more than that, she is the future queen of this great nation, a woman of grace and strength, who will lead with the same dignity as those who came before her. The words seemed to hang in the air, met first with a hush before polite applause spread through the chamber. This was no casual remark. It was a deliberate affirmation, an elevation of Catherine's status broadcast on an international stage. Behind palace doors, insiders would later reveal that Trump's speechwriters had coordinated with Buckingham Palace, carefully shaping the praise to align with the monarchy's narrative of resilience after recent trials. Catherine, ever modest, inclined her head, her cheeks tinged with the faintest flush, a subtle human moment that betrayed the impact of such public adoration. William, seated beside her, placed a subtle hand on Catherine's arm, a quiet gesture of solidarity that spoke volumes about their united front. Trump's declaration rippled outward. For him, it was more than courtesy. It was an opportunity to honor a figure he had long admired, weaving parallels to his own views on strength and leadership. He lauded King Charles's environmental legacy, praised Queen Camilla's charitable work, but it was Catherine who remained the evening's focus. As the band struck up God Save the King, crystal glasses lifted high. The hall shimmered with applause and candlelight, the moment sealed in history. Outside, cameras flashed, capturing Charles's unmistakable pride, and the striking image of his arm resting briefly on Trump's shoulder in camaraderie. This was no empty flattery. It was a calculated power move, signaling to the world that the monarchy's future was secure and its next queen already admired on the global stage. When the formalities faded into music, the evening softened. Trump and Catherine shared a brief, respectful waltz, while William turned to light-hearted polo talk with Melania. Yet the bow, the speech, and the toasts had already ensured the night's legacy, transforming a routine state banquet into a milestone of royal affirmation. And behind the polished facades, the private reactions to Trump's gestures revealed something far rarer, the human side of royalty. King Charles, long familiar with the weight of public scrutiny, appeared genuinely moved. Sources close to the palace described his pride as unmistakable, a fatherly glow as he watched his daughter-in-law receive such resounding praise. In private, he reportedly thanked Trump for the remarks, noting how they had buoyed Catherine's confidence after a year shadowed by health concerns and family loss. William, ever protective, balanced delight with caution. Insiders suggest he valued the affirmation, but remained wary of the media storm it might ignite. His fleeting glance toward Catherine during the speech spoke volumes, a look of solidarity shaped by trials they had weathered together, from the passing of Queen Elizabeth to the loss of Prince Philip. For Catherine, the moment was quietly transformative. Known for her composure, she later confided to close friends that the gesture felt empowering, a rare validation of her journey from commoner to future queen. The bow, in particular, resonated deeply, a reminder of the respect she now commands on the world stage. The wider royal family looked on in silent accord. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's presence underscored continuity, while even Princess Anne, attending with her trademark discretion, was seen nodding in approval. Beyond the castle walls, the reaction exploded online. Dignitaries and guests posted breathless commentary. One former US official summing up the mood in a single viral line: "Trump's bow was pure class, an honor to the future queen." Yet the evening was not without shadows. Subtle tensions from Trump's earlier encounters with the royals, such as the mixed reviews of his 2018 visit, still lingered in the background. But on this night, the positivity largely eclipsed past frictions. As the festivities wound down and the royals withdrew to their private chambers, the emotional undercurrents endured. The moment carried weight far beyond the banquet hall. Trump's gestures were a study in soft power, weaving diplomacy with spectacle. By bowing to Catherine and affirming her as Britain's future queen, he aligned himself with an institution that transcends partisan politics, evoking conservative values of tradition, continuity, and hierarchy. For the monarchy, the symbolism was equally advantageous. In an age of wavering public support and growing Republican sentiment, such international praise from a figure of Trump's stature reinforced their enduring relevance. Charles's visible pride that evening could be read as an endorsement, a father and sovereign recognizing a boost for William's eventual reign. Catherine's prominence in the narrative reflected a deliberate shift, the monarchy's modern image increasingly personified through the Prince and Princess of Wales, with her as its empathetic, unifying face. Her recovery, once clouded by speculation, was subtly reframed as resilience, her presence transforming vulnerability into strength. Palace insiders confirmed this was no accident. Communication teams had anticipated the speech's tone, preparing Catherine to embody quiet triumph. On the diplomatic front, the banquet opened the door to deeper talks. Behind closed doors, discussions ranged from NATO commitments to economic cooperation, with Trump's rapport with the royals softening the edges of negotiation. Queen Camilla's presence added continuity, her charitable ties to the United States offering a subtle bridge between cultures. Yet the bow remained the night's most debated gesture. Protocol purists noted its departure from the standard handshake, but in practice it enhanced the sense of warmth, lending a human touch to a relationship often defined by formality. In that interplay between personal symbolism and political strategy lay the monarchy's enduring soft power, where a single gesture can affirm legacies and reset narratives. Viewed from a wider lens, the evening marked a bold evolution for the royal family. Trump's affirmation cast Catherine not only as a future consort, but as a global icon, echoing Diana's charisma, though grounded in a steadier devotion to duty. For King Charles, facing whispers over health and the strain of institutional reforms, the public celebration of William and Catherine provided something rare in uncertain times: stability and a glimpse of the monarchy's future. The proud, paternal gaze Charles cast during Trump's speech spoke volumes, an unspoken assurance in the strength of the succession, countering narratives of a fading crown. The ripple effects extended well beyond Windsor's walls. Across the Atlantic, Trump's praise resonated with his political base, reinforcing the image of Britain as America's steadfast partner. For Catherine, the moment amplified her global platform. Her initiatives in mental health and early childhood suddenly carried new weight, drawing interest from potential American collaborators. At her side, William's quiet gestures of support underscored their modern partnership, a balance of family and duty that resonates with a public yearning for stability. Of course, critics dismissed the evening as indulgent pageantry in the face of economic hardship, yet supporters hailed it as diplomacy at its most symbolic. On social media, royal watchers celebrated in real time. One post read simply, "Trump's words to Catherine were spot on. She's our future queen." Moments like these ripple across generations. For younger royals, it stood as proof that tradition can still evolve, that relevance can be renewed through the spotlight of international endorsement. Ultimately, it showed the monarchy's greatest strength: adaptability, surviving not in spite of spectacle, but through it. As the golden glow of the banquet faded into memory, one undeniable truth emerged. President Donald Trump's bow and resounding proclamation had etched a defining moment into the annals of royal history. In Windsor Castle's grand halls, anchored by Queen Camilla's composure and illuminated by King Charles's paternal pride, Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood unmistakably elevated as the future queen. This was no mere flourish of diplomacy. It was a celebration of resilience, a testament to enduring alliances, and a powerful recognition of the timeless grace Catherine embodies. The resonance of that evening stretched far beyond the castle walls, signaling the dawn of a new chapter for the monarchy, one poised to honor its storied past while embracing a forward-looking vision. Trump's words, delivered with his characteristic flair, did more than praise her. They positioned Catherine as a beacon of stability in a fractured world, and his bow, a gesture steeped in respect, stood as a visual pledge of transatlantic solidarity, binding America's voice to the future of Britain's crown. For King Charles, watching his daughter-in-law receive such a public endorsement was more than ceremony. It was affirmation. Insiders reveal he later described the moment as a proud milestone, a reflection of his confidence in William and Catherine as the true stewards of the monarchy's next chapter. Queen Camilla, the ever-steady force, offered knowing smiles that spoke to her own long journey through scrutiny, her quiet presence reinforcing the family's sense of unity. The implications of this moment ripple outward across personal and political lines. For the Wales family, it stands as a turning point, an opportunity to weave personal healing with public duty. Catherine's recent health challenges, now receding into the past, have only deepened her resolve to champion causes close to her heart: early childhood development, mental health, and family well-being. Trump's very public affirmation magnified those causes on a global stage, attracting potential partnerships, particularly from American philanthropists eager to align with her initiatives. William's steady presence beside her embodied the essence of a modern monarchy, one that prioritizes family while carrying the weight of tradition. Together, they projected not just continuity, but renewal. Their choice to remain rooted in Windsor, away from London's constant glare, underscores this balance, offering their children a grounded upbringing while fulfilling the weight of duty. On the broader stage, the Banquet's optics carried undeniable resonance. In the United States, Trump's base, many of whom admire the monarchy's pageantry, saw his gestures as a symbolic bridge to a cherished ally. On social media, posts declared, "Trump's bow to Catherine was iconic. She's the future queen we all respect." Across the Commonwealth, where debates over the monarchy's relevance continue, the moment bolstered the case for its enduring soft power. Catherine's global appeal, blending Diana's charisma with her own disciplined devotion to duty, cast her as a rare unifying figure, capable of bridging tradition with modern expectation. Critics, of course, highlighted the extravagance of such ceremonies amid economic pressures, questioning the institution's cost. Yet supporters countered that moments like this are diplomatic gold, reinforcing Britain's influence through cultural prestige. The careful choreography, Trump's deliberate bow, Charles's warm camaraderie, Camilla's gracious hosting, proved the monarchy's adaptability, turning a single state visit into a living narrative of continuity and renewal. For the younger royals, Princess Charlotte and Prince George quietly watching from the sidelines, this moment set a powerful template, a monarchy that endures not by clinging to the past, but by blending heritage with openness, elegance with accessibility. Looking ahead, this single night may well shape the monarchy's entire trajectory. Catherine now stands firmly as the modern matriarch, a woman who can handle global scrutiny with unshakable poise while championing causes that resonate with everyday people. For King Charles, the spectacle was reassurance carved in gold that the crown's future is secure even as his own reign faces mounting challenges. The legacy of this banquet is a monarchy reimagined, not a distant relic of history, but a living, breathing force grounded in family, spectacle, and international respect. The question that lingers is explosive. Does this cement the royals' global standing, or is it a warning that evolution is still desperately needed to keep the crown relevant in today's world? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this moment cements the royals' global standing or highlights the need for further evolution? If this deep dive sparked your curiosity, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive insights into the royal saga.